What's going on, beautiful people? My name is Edward, named after a great man, that being my pops. Shout out to my mother and my grandmother for helping raise me too. You are tuned into the first installment of the Emcstats Show. This show will be all things encompassing sports from the high school level, the collegiate level, as well as the pro level. I will not disappoint. I will keep you up to date once a week on all that is going on in the sports world. If you are familiar with the Respect the Game podcast, you know you can get your weekly dose of a great sports conversation from not just me, but as well as my brothers, Sedacious, Isaac, and Darnell. But if the podcast isn't enough for you and you want to continue the conversation and continue to hear about what's going on in sports after the podcast, coming here to the Emcstats Show will be another place you could come to, just stay in the loop, get different perspectives on what's going on in the sports world, man. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. If you like the content, share, like, comment, subscribe, engage with your boy. I'll make sure I respond. And I'm excited to do this show. Been wanting to do it for a while. It's long overdue. Had to stop procrastinating, trying to wait for the right time and just start it and to get the ball rolling and have God bless it and however and seeing however it turns out to manifest as it grows and it grows and it grows. So thank y'all for being here with me, taking the time out to check out the show. I hope I'm getting you through your car ride or getting you through your workout or getting you through your road trip, wherever you may be at right now listening to the show. I definitely appreciate you listening and tuning in. We're going to start this show off talking about the WNBA. The reason why is because as I've been watching all of the media, all of the attention that's came to the WNBA, I know for a fact that there's going to come a time, a dead period, where it may not necessarily be as hot of a topic to talk about the WNBA, right? NBA Finals right now, that's at its peak, is growing to its peak, about to reach its, and so you're going to have the NBA wrapping up, but then you're going to also have the circus, if you will, of NBA offseason moves, right? So then the WNBA, as it kind of goes, as it loses its steam of everybody being excited because the season just started, is going to graduate into the middle of the season. And as the middle of the season comes about, then we have our 2024 Paris Olympics. Then everybody's going to be talking about the Olympics. The WNBA is going to go on a whole, as the Olympics is planned, then they're going to come back, but then they're going to have to be competing against NFL off season, still NBA off season. We know the Olympics runs pretty long, and then they're going to have to, deal with the start of the NFL. And so I predict that, unfortunately, the attention that the WNBA is currently receiving, that won't necessarily be the case as they continue to push forth into the season. Maybe it picks up in the playoffs, but for those who truly love the game of the WNBA and you have become fans of the WNBA this season, or just women's hoops in general, when the overall media hype dies down a bit, this will be a place where you can come to still get a weekly dose of WNBA content. And so that is my promise to you if you're listening to the podcast. I'm gonna keep y'all in tune with what's going on in the WNBA. And we're going to set the tone with the first show being all things WNBA, man. All right, so first up on the rundown for the WNBA, we are going to talk about the best team. The best team in the WNBA is, I feel like it's between two teams. You could argue three. Through 13 games, the New York Liberty, they have the best record. Their record is 11-2. I have an 11-2 record to start off the season. The Connecticut Sun, they were extremely hot. They started off the season 9-0, but the Liberty and the Connecticut Sun, they just met this past weekend, and the Liberty was able to defeat them. So Connecticut Sun start off as the top dog. Right now, their record is 9-1 after losing to the Liberty. And so you could have that toss-up type of conversation. Okay, well, Liberty just beat the Connecticut Sun. Connecticut is the 1 seed. Liberty is the 2 seed. Is Connecticut better? Do you deem them the top team, or do you deem Liberty the top team? I would personally give it to the Liberty, right? I would give it to the Liberty right now, considering their record. And the reason why is because watching that and watching that game, the Connecticut Sun have the advantage because they have the #1 defense in the WNBA, and they also play at a slow pace. So not only are they limiting your opportunities to score the ball with their pace, their defense, is outstanding. They're allowing fewer than 70 points per game. Another quick footnote: don't hang me on a cross to die with some of the stats. We are shooting this June 10th. So all the stats that I'm dropping and the notes that I'm dropping are from June 10th, from the start of the WNBA season up to June 10th. And even in talking now, the Sun and the Fever play tonight. So everything from 5 o'clock on June 10th all the way back to the start of the WNBA season are the numbers that I am using. Yeah, man. But yes, so I would give the edge to the Liberty. The Liberty right now, to be the best, you got to beat the best. Last year, trying to get to the finals, these two teams were fairly still similar, not too dramatic of changes in the off season outside of the Liberty, excuse me, outside of the Sun getting Breanna Jones back. But other than that, these teams are fairly similar to last season. And if you ask me, okay, who is the best team right now, I would say it would have to be the New York Liberty. Your core, right? Sabrina, Jonquel, as well as Breanna Stewart. That core is doing what it's supposed to do. Like they haven't fallen off. Salute to them right now. They haven't been hit with no injuries. Those top 3 players have played all 3 games. And right when you think, okay, like how do we try to zone in and focus on them in terms of like how do you go about stopping them? Like it's really no stopping them. You could only hope for them to have a bad game. But then you got Lainey Hamilton, who's a sniper, a Swiss Army knife, who could also go off of 20 points a game, but she's also going to be a absolute dog on the defensive end. Then you got players like Thornton coming off the bench. So right now, with them gelling, with them having the experience that they had last year, obviously you come into this season, you hella motivated considering you lost in the finals. Y'all have that same nucleus. Vandersloot hasn't had like she's missed a couple games, personal reasons, not sure why. Definitely hope it's nothing too serious. Her team gave her a shout out on the national game versus Connecticut. But despite not having Vandersloot for not having her for all the games this season, the Liberty have not missed a beat. They have not missed an absolute beat at all. They came out against Connecticut, put their foot on their neck. Connecticut fought back, but nonetheless, overall, in the end, the Liberty proved to be the better team. And so just some quick stats, you know what I mean? Some quick stats. You got Stewart, she averaging 18 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 stocks. Sabrina, she giving you 17 points and 5 assists. And Jonquel Jones, she averaging 15 and 8. Those numbers, like, is either one. What makes them even that's another thing. What makes them so great, and why I would deem them the best team right now. I don't know, some of y'all probably thinking like, boy, you like, what about the Aces? Like, be cool on that. We got to respect the game. Go check out the podcast. You feel me? There's a matchup for the Liberty to exploit every single night. If you don't have a strong defensive presence in the post, that could be Sabrina's night. That could be Jonquel's night. If you don't have discipline or quick enough, strong enough defenders on the perimeter, that could easily be Sabrina's night. That could easily be Lainey Hamilton night. You feel me? And again, And Thornton, she just finds a way to make plays. One of those, players where, as they say, you may not see it on the box score, but Shawty gonna come through and give you quality minutes off the bench. And that would be what I would hang my hat on the most as it relates to the New York Liberty. They have a favorable matchup just about every single night with their big three. So yeah, and them beating the Sun, like I said, that completely put the icing on the cake. Now the Sun, they're a great team. Well, I don't want to use the word great loosely. I think that in order for this team to really, really, really hunker down, um, I know it sounds crazy, but I feel like Alyssa Thomas, I feel like she has to find a way to be a bit more aggressive in terms of scoring, not taking away what she does on the boards, not taking away how easy she creates offenses for her teammates. But because she's not as aggressive as a scorer, when I was watching that game, I seen glimpses of it when I was watching that game with them versus the Liberty, where teams would like sag off of her because they know she's trying to set up the offense, or they know, okay, the DHO, the dribble handoff is coming somewhere. And it kind of like allows the defense to not be as honest when guarding her as she's trying to set up the offense. And so I think you got to find a way to you have to find a way for Alyssa Thomas to just like be able to just make the defense be a little bit more honest in terms of guarding her. Bonner leading the team with 19 points. Carrington, she had a great start to the season in terms of her scoring. It slowed down a bit, but nonetheless, her activeness on defense is also what largely contributes to this team being a great team. Right now, Alyssa Thomas, she's averaging 13 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists per game. Those are great numbers, right? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, those are those are great numbers because we know that's what she is capable of. And we don't want to be like, I definitely don't want to get to a point where it's just like, oh, I got comfortable with her like near triple double. It's like, no, I won't. Like, what she continues to do for her team, she's the lifeblood of that team. She's the heartbeat of that team. That team is not 9-1 without Alyssa Thomas. 1,010% a fact. Period. That is a fact. They aren't who they are without Alyssa Thomas, which is a tribute to her greatness. However, I think either you find somebody like a DeWanna Bonner who can be just as good at creating their own shot. You find somebody, by the trade deadline to bring on, or I feel like since Alyssa Thomas is the one who has the ball in her hand most of the time, she has to like look to like be more aggressive, because I feel like they will truly need that to get over the hump of a Seattle Storm, a New York Liberty, a Minnesota Lynx, a Las Vegas Aces, man. And forgot to put it in my notes, but real quick, I want to bring up Breanna Jones because she's also, her coming back from injury. They didn't have her for a great part of the season last year, so her coming back from injury has been good for the ball club, and so she's coming into the season averaging 13 points. So it's just like, you're getting your production from Breanna. She's giving you 13. You're getting your production from DeWanna. She's averaging 18, 19 points. Alissa averaging 13. Carrington, I want to say is right at, I'll just wait to see her pull up. Yeah, I was going to say Carrington's giving you 12 points per game. And like, that pretty much like that scoring has to come from somewhere else. That scoring, it has to come from somewhere else. And I don't think it's necessarily gonna come from y'all bench, if I'm just being like 1,000 completely honest about it. I don't think that scoring comes from y'all bench. on the after that core four. After that core four, I'm gonna say this and move on. Okay, so the one averaging 18, Breanna giving you 13, Alissa giving you 12 right now through 10 games. Dejanay Carrington giving you 11, and Ty Harris giving you 10, right? So all of their starters are in double figures. All of their starters are in double figures, right? So we we know all of the starters are giving you double figures, but after the starters, bro, like the highest points per game for players coming off the bench for the Sun is 4 by Tiffany Mitchell. And like they gonna have to find that scoring from somewhere. And I'm just delegate it to either be through you having to make the trade that you need to make, or maybe you could argue like they didn't do what they were supposed to do in the off season and find somebody. But I'm gonna delegate that responsibility to Alyssa Thomas. I just either Alyssa Thomas or um Bonner, DeWanna Bonner, like needs to go on a heater when it comes time to be in the playoffs, and we know they're gonna play big minutes. Because yeah, I just don't like how teams don't necessarily, I say teams, but particularly looking at the Liberty game and the team that you're gonna face down the road or have to, excuse me, a team you're gonna have to go through to get to the finals or win the finals. Yeah, you got to make the teams honest with your scoring, and that's why I would delegate that responsibility of like where you're going to pull scoring from to the Liberty. I mean, excuse me, to the to Alyssa Thomas. One last quick note for the Sun, for the Connecticut Sun, they started the season off 9-0, and of them to start off the season 9-0, 7 other teams, or they're the 7th team to start off the season at least 9-0. And of those other teams who started the season off 9-0 or better, they all at least reached the WNBA finals. So with that start to the season for the Connecticut Sun being 9-0 before losing to the Liberty this past week, all signs say that they should go to the WNBA finals this season. At bare minimum, they should reach the WNBA finals. Will that happen? To be determined. Talking about those two teams, another team that has had a complete shift, a complete makeover is the Seattle Storm. Seattle Storm, they acquire Arike Ogunbowale in the offseason, who's a MVP player, all-star, all defensive team player as well. And they also acquire Skylar Diggins. A'ja Wilson, they lost the Storm beat the defending champs, the Aces, this season. And A'ja Wilson, in her press conference, she dubbed them to be a super team. And that's a very valid statement. The Storm are 4th right now. The Storm are 4th in the they have the 4th seed with a 7-4 record. And they have a top 3 defense, I believe. Yeah, they got a top 3 defense. And apart from Jewel Lloyd, apart from Naka, apart from Skylar Diggins, Ezzy Megabord is hooping. She balling. Quiet, you know what I'm saying, kind of keep to herself. You know, you don't really, see her as publicized as the other players in the WNBA. But Ezzy is tied leading the lead in blocks with 3 per game. And she's tied with A'ja, but she's played more games than A'ja. Yeah, Ezzy averaging 3 blocks a game, along with 13 points and 9 rebounds. So she's nearly averaging a double-double on top of giving you 3 points per game. 3 blocks per game. And I think Ezzy is a tremendous a centerpiece for being the anchor of this Storm defense and what they've been able to do this season. Jewel Lloyd giving you 20 points, Laker giving you 17, and Skylar giving you 14 points and 5 assists. And mind you, Skylar didn't play last season, leaving the Phoenix Mercury and also taking time off for maternity leave. And so this team is they hooping. Last year, Jewel Lloyd, she had the green light, right? She had her light was green, lime green, if you will. And when you see a team form with her, Naka, Skylar Diggins coming back, not necessarily being sure with how soon she's going to gain her rhythm back. They 7-4, bro. And I don't believe the WNBA's their training camps are as long and extensive as the NBA's. But for them to be 7-4, the 4th seed, having the championship pedigree that they have, having the experience that they have, they could very well give the Liberty a run for their money. They could give the Sun a run for their money because, again, it goes back to what I said about the Liberty. They have matchups that you could exploit. On the perimeter, you got Jewel Lloyd. Down in the post, you got Ezzy you got to deal with. You got Naka you got to deal with. And if I want to keep it real, I'm gonna just have to curse because that's sometimes just a part of my language. So if you got your kids in the car, turn it down or get ready to bleep it or whatever. But if you think shit sweet, you know what I'm saying? Skylar can come through and give you great minutes. She's the floor general for the team. She can get buckets. So, if you have a night with Jewel or may not have it going, you could look up and Skylar Diggins got 18 points. There's a handful of games where she's just been an excellent foul creator getting to the line. And so, yeah, man, if I think as I'm talking about the teams and I'm thinking about the teams and I'm ranking them, I think I may go Liberty. And I know it's I can hear people saying bro, they got the best record. I'm gonna just say I respect the Sun because they got the best record currently. They at 9-1. That's 10 games. So I'm gonna say the Liberty have the best record because they played the most games with an 11-2 record. Then they're 9-1. The Sun are, and then the Seattle Storm are 7-4. So they've played more games. How I think this is going to shape out, right? Right now, as it stands, Liberty, Seattle, and maybe the Sun. But the teams are so great because you can't even just say you're gonna throw the Sun in there, right? Because then you gotta go and talk about the Minnesota Lynx. You gotta talk about the Minnesota Lynx. Where's my note for the Lynx? I had a great through 11 games last year, the Minnesota Lynx were 3-8. You hear me? 3-8, 38. Yeah, I'm saying. But this year they are 8-3. So they've had a complete shift in how they are playing. They've had a key addition in Courtney Williams, a phenomenal floor general, phenomenal defense on the perimeter. Kayla McBride, she just went nuclear the other night too. Kayla just went, let's put some respect on your name, Kayla, because you just went nuclear the other night. You went, what did Kayla McBride drop the other night? She had a 30 ball, if I ain't mistaken. She had a 30 ball. Yeah, she had a dirty ball. She didn't have a 30 ball. She had a dirty ball. Yes. Yo, so So in real time, because I forgot who that was against, right? So I said the Liberty. Then I was about to say the Storm, and then I was about to say the the Sun. But you can't just throw it and say the Seattle Storm, because as I was getting to, you gotta put respect on the Lynx name. The Lynx are 8-3, and they have beaten the Storm, right? And so, and they've beaten the Storm not once, but 3 times this season. And so, all right. I'm gonna try to do it. If I had to rank them right now, I'm looking at the I'm looking at the Minnesota Lynx record. The Minnesota Lynx have beat Seattle 3 times this season, so it's fair to say they got their card. Um, Assuming I think most of those games everybody was at full strength. Yeah, they beat them 3 times this season. However, they played the Lynx. The Lynx and the Storm played the very first 2 games of the season, so teams may not have had all their pieces and had their identity picking all that stuff that they be saying or whatever. Um, if you force me to rank them right now, I'm gonna say give me the Liberty. I'm gonna say give me the Lynx. I'm going to say give me Seattle, and I'm gonna say give me Connecticut. That will get some flack because I know the Sun are 9-1, but I'm speaking of currently right now as constructed, based off their records. And even though they 5-4, like they're gonna be, if you ask me, they're gonna be a team in the playoffs. I'm not in the playoffs, like they the defending champs, and they don't have Chelsea Gray, and right now they're 5-4. I'm talking about the Aces right now. They don't have Chelsea Gray, and that's been a struggle not having your floor general. Like you see, how much she's missed. But despite them not having but despite them not having Chelsea Gray, don't know when she's going to return. You have the interchangeable dual combo backcourt with Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young. And so and they just picked up, I forget who that was that they picked up in the off season off the top of my brain. I want to say it was is that Tiffany Hayes? I think that was Tiffany Hayes, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, they've just made it. The Aces have just made a they made a acquisition in the off, not even the off season, at the start of the season, uh, to get some help in the backcourt with not having Chelsea Gray ready. Yeah, it was Tiffany Hayes. It was Tiffany Hayes that they picked up, who was retired at the time. But yeah, man. So nah, yeah, man. It's like I gotta put respect on them being the defending champs. Like with the way Asia's playing, as I transition into like the MVP conversation, I believe that they're gonna figure it out. But like as it stands, your top teams, uh, Liberty, Lynx. I'm gonna say no particular order because it's still early, and that's also too. I was waiting to do the pod. I mean, not the pod, the show. It's because I want to give these teams time to have have some games under their belt, and so like everybody's like closing in, if not already on like 10+ games into the season. And yeah, man, yeah, top teams for sure. I'm gonna say at the one spot for sure. At the one spot, I'm gonna say it's the New York Liberty. Uh, the two spot, the two spot, I want to say is between the two spot could be a tie. It could be the Lynx, the Sun, the Storm. But yeah, because some of these teams have beaten each other. For sure, the Lynx are above. For sure, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Liberty, Lynx, Storm, Sun, and the Aces, only because they haven't yet figured out their we don't know what they look like at full strength yet, assuming Chelsea Gray is going to make a return at some point this season. As of right now, that could change. But yeah, so going into the MVP race, as it stands today, MVP race, if you had to pick, it's got to be A'ja Wilson. And we call it the MVP race, but the number she's putting up is honestly and truthfully not even close. And again, considering the fact, like I said, we don't know what the Aces look like at full strength. They have lost their floor general, their veteran, and Chelsea Gray. Chelsea Gray makes the game easier for everybody on the court. You can't deny that, not even a little bit. And to make up for the production of Chelsea Gray, to make up for her not being able to get quality shots for herself, to make up for her not being able to get easy shots for everybody else, A'ja Wilson has put cover your children's ear. She has been put in the on for the Aces. Man, A'ja, she lead the league in scoring at 28 points per game, giving you 12 rebounds a game, and also is tied with Ezzy, leading the league in blocks with 3 blocks per game. And she's also averaging nearly 2 steals a game. And the Aces are 5-4. These ain't empty stats she putting up. You feel me? Not having Chelsea Gray, you got to keep your team in a position to where you got to keep your team in a position to rack up as many wins as you can. And so hopefully, if Chelsea Gray can come back, by the time she come back, y'all in a position to either make a run at getting a higher seed, maybe get at least a round with home court advantage. But tonight I have Chelsea Gray, and making sure your team is above 500. It's fucking MVP worthy. Sorry, I didn't give you a warning for your kids, but another warning for your kids. Couple of years, what A'ja been doing is like 1010% fucking MVP worthy. Stat right here. She's the only player through a 5-game span in WNBA history to have 140 plus points, 60 plus rebounds, and 20 plus blocks. Like, or not even blocks, stocks, blocks and steals combined. And so, yeah, ain't nobody's remotely coming close to like touching A'ja in terms of the MVP race. Her situation she's in, she's risen high above the situation that she's in, because her team truly needs every ounce of production she can squeeze out on a night-to-night basis as they go through this growing pain of like figuring out what their identity looks like without Chelsea Gray to start this season. The only person I may have given, I would say, a close maybe a close second, if you just want to argue that, is of Alissa Thomas is averaging right now 13, 9, and 8, or 12, 9, and 8. If Alissa Thomas could get those rebounds and assists into the double figures, and then we talk about her averaging a triple double and them being a 1 seed at the time, I would fight for Alissa Thomas to be in the conversation at minimum. But horseshoes and hand grenades are the only time almost count. You feel me? Shout out to Coach Woods for that life gym back in high school. And so the fact that we can't give Alissa Thomas credit for almost averaging a triple double, she hasn't averaged it fully yet at 12, 9, and 8. And because of that, put A'ja in the class for MVP all by herself. Honorable mentions nonetheless, though, because we gotta, give everybody, who really been putting on this season that credit. Napheesa Collier, bruh, what she doing ain't different than what she was doing last year. Right now, she leading the team in points at 21, leading the team in rebounds at 11, giving you also 3 assists. But like I said, the Minnesota Lynx last year were 3-8 through their first 11 games. This year, they are 11-8. Excuse me. This year, they are 8-3 as opposed to 3-8 last year. And what's changed again? McBride, she's been stepping up, averaging 18 points this season, just had a 30 ball. Courtney Williams, a phenomenal floor general, phenomenal defensive player, out on the perimeter. They also got Natisha Hydeman. Yes, so like, and she's a great defensive player. She's coming over from the Connecticut Sun, where they smother you defensively. So having that defensive pedigree and experience from the Sun, she's bringing it over to the Lynx. You also got Elena Smith. That team is just clicking on all cylinders, and nothing more shines a spotlight on greatness and the greatness of a player like winning. And again, Napheesa Collier, she was doing the same thing last season. It's just good to see that it's finally paying off in wins for her. So yeah, man. Next up on honorable mentions, right? Who we got? Who do you think we got? That would have to be Arike Ogunbowale. Arike, man, they struggling, dog. They 3-7. But they not just down one of they big dogs or they big three and Natasha Howard and Satu Saberly. They don't have neither one of them. They don't have Satu. They don't have Natasha. And it has been a grave situation for the Dallas Wings. And Arike has been doing all she can for them. She got the greenest of green lights in the in the league, trying to keep her team afloat, bro. But it's just hard when you like don't have your core. Like you're missing over half your core and not having Natasha and not having Satu. And just an honorable mention, Arike, bro. I know you're doing the best you can. You averaging 26 points per game. You would probably have to average 50 to keep them above 500. But a honorable mention nonetheless. Next honorable mention, they're not winning. Also, they're 4-7. But Arike, these honorable mentions are like 1,010% like certified like all-stars. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're certified on like a first or second team. DeArica Hamby. Last season she was with the Sparks. However, she was coming off the bench, behind Neka Gumake, who was the star of their team last year. And DeArica Hamby, when you lose somebody like Neka, obviously you're in a rebuilding phase and you're trying to figure out like, well, what's the next best thing for us as a team? Like, how could we try to get better, or who are we going to like, move on to? And though the Sparks have drafted Rikea Jackson and Cameron Brink, they're rookies, so it's going to take them time to develop and get adjusted to, developing their skills and get adjusted to the play and the style of the WNBA. However, DeArica Hamby has been somebody who's embraced the rebuilding phase for the Los Angeles Sparks and said, hey, what we are going, hey, like, everybody rally around me. Just follow what I do. And DeArica Hamby averaging 20 points, 11 rebounds. She leads the league for double-doubles in the league with 9. And she is a story where it's about opportunity. Like you could get caught up, you feel me, and judging a player based off like, they only averaging this or they only averaging that. But it's about the situation. She came off the bench last year, averaging 8 points and 6 rebounds off the bench. Now given the opportunity to be the lead top dog head honcho, now you see she's averaging 20 points and 11 rebounds and leading the league in double doubles, right? So DeArica Hamby, certified all-star. Kahleah Copper. She's having her best year ever that she's had. And that's a lot, I would say statistically, because she's a WNBA champion with the Sky, and she's also a Finals MVP. I don't know what could really top a season like that. But other than that, statistically, this has been her best career, best season yet in her career. As she's averaging 24 points a game for the Phoenix Mercury. And last year, the Phoenix Mercury were a bottom team, did make the playoffs, but she has them right at 500 at 6-6, averaging 24 points again. And it's crucial because at the start of the season, Brittany Griner went down with an injury, and that's a big bulk of production to not have Brittany Griner to start the season. No need to fear. Kahleah Copper was there. For the Suns, you know, and as opposed to them sinking and maybe phoning it in as opposed to phoning it in the first half of the season, man, Kahleah Copper said, "Yo, let's hoop." And a couple of your kids is she been motherfucking hooping. Do you hear me? So certified all-star. And those are just people who, like, you know what I'm saying, like, have been having great starts to the year. Kahleah Copper has had multiple 30-point games this season. As a matter, I could be trying to give you a little bit too much thing, but I don't know if you hit it or you got close, and my memory kind of escaping me. I want to say you flirted with a couple 40 balls. You flirted with a couple 40. Okay, yeah, you flirted with some 40 balls this season. Early in the season, you had back-to-back games where you had 38 and then 37. So like she's just been like on fire to start the season again. Like I said, Brittany Griner go down, you want to panic, you want to worry. No need to fear. Kahleah Copper is here for the Phoenix Mercury. So yeah, man. And then you got the defending WNBA MVP Breanna Stewart, averaging 18 points, 9 rebounds. And if your team is the best team in the league and you're a top player, you got to be you're definitely an all-star for sure. But if you want, like I said, I would have gave Alyssa Thomas some of that MVP conversation if she was like full out averaging a triple double to start the season, but she's not. But if you want to be like, Breanna Stewart, you know what I'm saying? She's, on the best team with the best record. You want to use that narrative against me. I'm not going to fight it. Salute to Breanna Stewart and her start to the season too, man. That brings us to talking about some of the all-stars that we have in the league. That brings us to our rookie watch, right? So we're going to talk about some of the rookies this season. We're going to talk about Caitlin Clark last because there's a lot to surround Caitlin Clark for those who've been following the league, and we'll just talk about her impact. But so first we're going to talk about Angel Reese. If you watch Angel Reese in college, she just had I'm going to find a way to get to the ball in terms of her rebounding. And she had a game that was just like, she just got a hustle type of game. She not just the Dirk Nowitzki over the fade, one leg fadeaway pull up. She doesn't really take jump shots outside of the paint. That bothers me because I feel like Angel Reese will be out of this world if she was shooting jumpers like 15-foot pull-up jumpers. If she was shooting them on a consistent basis and efficiently, I feel like that's the next step for Angel Reese, to be able to shoot that jumper and shoot it with confidence. When I see her take it, I don't believe she shoots it with that much confidence. However, it's kind of odd because like she's a decent free throw shooter. So it's just like, like you can't make that 15 foot of work in the floor of the game off the dribble or off the catch, you know what I mean? But uh despite Angel Reese, you know what I'm saying, not necessarily like having her jumper fully developed yet, she has she's transitioned well in the WNBA. Like you can't deny it. She has transitioned absolutely beautifully in the WNBA. Her game, I don't believe, has changed from college to the WNBA, but it doesn't matter if it hasn't changed because it works. It just simply works. Angel Reese averaging nearly a double double. She averaging 11 points, 9 rebounds. Um, the Sky have a marquee win against one of the best teams in the league, and that being against the Sky. Uh, excuse me, that being against the Liberty. Angel Reese was a part of that. When Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark met earlier this season, they, the Sky and the Fever had one of the most watched games in WNBA history in the past 20 years at 1.5 million views. So they continue to do numbers with each other. And right now, Caitlin Clark, she has a career high of 16 points, and the most rebounds that she's grabbed this season in one game has been 13. And she is the only rookie with back-to-back double doubles since Sylvia Fowles, who also played for the Chicago Sky. And on top of that, I wonder what their relationship is like because I wonder what Angel Reese's relationship is like with Sylvia Fowles, because Angel Reese also broke Sylvia Fowles either rebounding or double doubles record for LSU. Uh so yeah, man. Here's another stat about Angel Reese as well. Angel Reese became the third player in the WNBA history to record a double double with 5 steals in back-to-back games as well. And so Angel Reese has just been like stuffing up the stat sheet. Slow start, but like she's getting comfortable. Like the ball is like a magnet to her when it comes to rebounding. Um, and it's just, I'm gonna keep harping on it. If she develops a jumper, Angel Reese could easily be a multi-time MVP and a multi-time champion in this WNBA that we currently have. That's the next step for her, like really sending her game to like an astronomical level. I hope we get to see it. I hope we get to see it. Right now, the number she averaging again, 11 and 9 points. She's doing this with like only averaging 30 minutes a game. So obviously, as she continues to play, and develop over the years, her minutes is gonna go up, and you would assume that obviously her production is gonna go up as well, man. So shout out to Caitlin Clark. I may have all right, I'm gonna say this stat again because I said she was the only player in WNBA history, but I believe it's just in Sky history. She is the fourth Sky player to have 3 or more consecutive double doubles in franchise history, and the third player in WNBA history with 10 plus points, 10 plus rebounds, and 5 assists in back-to-back games. Man, shouts out to you for the start that you had to the season, Angel Reese. Next up on the rookie watch, man, we got Cameron Brink and Rikea Jackson. Um, both got drafted by the Sparks. Cameron Brink went second. Rikea Jackson went four. Brink averaging 8 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 stocks a game. At one point, Cameron Brink was up there leading the lead up there with Izzy, averaging 2.5 blocks per game. But she by far leads all the rookies with most blocks per game. And so you got that going for you with her averaging, her averaging almost, flirting with averaging 3 blocks a game as a rookie. And then Rikea Jackson giving you 9 points a game. Only thing, so again, the Sparks right now, they're not that good, despite how great DeArica Hamby is playing. And so I think the only good thing, or one of the good things that can come, is that one from this season for the Sparks is that one, you got an all-star in Hamby. That's great. And then two, you see the production from a Cameron Brink and a Rikea Jackson. You see what they are capable of doing at such a young level, at such a young. You see what they could do with limited minutes, and you see what they're doing as rookies. Could they be a big three? Time will tell. Can the two coexist? Time will tell. What I hate about the offense, though, is sometimes I see Cameron Brink lingering out on the three, and I don't necessarily trust to believe that's going to be like a cornerstone of her game. Now, if the offense was saying, hey, let's facilitate to her, hey, we want you to make these shots, it's cool. I get it. Like, let's get comfortable with taking these shots. But like, I'm watching games and it's just like, you catch her floating out there, and it's just like, I don't think there's no game plan around saying like, let's get her the ball to shoot the three. So, but the spacing with the Sparks right now, that's a whole nother thing. They're not a great team right now, and they got to, figure out if they gonna be in, the #1 sweepstakes for a Paige Buckner next year. So yeah. Also too, Alliyah Edwards. So Shakira Austin is been battling with the hip injury, and the Mystics are 0-12. They are in the race, if not already, being 0-12 for like the fourth worst start in WNBA history, right? And if I'm a Mystics fan, or let's say I'm a family member or a friend or a coach, and I'm rooting for Alliyah Edwards, Gino, right, from UConn, I'm rooting for the Mystics to keep being horrible. Because if that's your rookie, you gotta give him more minutes. You know what I mean? Alliyah Edwards averaging she giving you 9 points and 6 rebounds. If you watching, like, that facial expression was like, I sometimes hate how the rookies get caught up in like foul trouble, but that's not a rookie thing. With the way they be banging down there in the post, like, you just got to be careful, because at any given moment down there in the post, like, the players can get caught up in foul trouble with trying to defend and whatnot. But Alliyah Edwards, her 9 points and 6 rebounds, I think I think it has potential to like strongly increase. I think at some point the Mystics got to phone it home and be like, yo, let's throw our young players out there and see what they got. And I think that's going to result in Alliyah Edwards getting more minutes and getting more comfortable. And as a result of getting more comfortable, she's going to gain more confidence moving forward into moving into the next season. Also on that Mystics team, you got Julie Van Loo, as a 31-year-old rookie, man. She's a nice floor general. I know probably don't nobody care because they 0-12. It's just like, who gives a damn, right? But now Julie Van Loo, coming from overseas, she went undrafted, 31 years old, has proven in games where even when it's close, even though they've yet to come up with the win, has proven to be like a great facilitator for the team. Shouts out to Alissa Pili. So we talk about teams who are good, who are like not that great, and as a result, you hope that rookies can benefit from getting time and seeing the floor more. However, Alissa Pili, that's not the case for her. She's on a great team in the Minnesota Lynx, and with that, she's only seen 3 games this season where she's had 10+ minutes. However, the one game she did get 15 minutes in, she went nuclear. We're talking about 20 points, and she went 7 of 9 from the field on 4 for 4 from threes. And I'm talking about a Wendy's 4 for 4 from the field, from three. And so she's had that one moment, and other than that, it's like, you know, if you're rooting to see Alissa Pili on the court, like you gotta hope either the Lynx blow somebody out hella early and so she can get some burn, or you know, or hope they get beat so bad that it's like, all right, Pili, get in there. So but shouts out to Alissa Pili for, you know, that 20-point game performance that you had. You know, just shooting the lights out, showing what you could do if given the opportunity with more minutes. But granted, it's a veteran-led team, and they're in the running, you know, to make a deep run in the playoffs. So, you know, it's gonna take her a little bit more time to, you know, be able to get out there on the court. Which brings me to a Kay Martin. And so Kay Martin is in a unique situation. She's averaging 19 minutes a game, and she got drafted by the Aces, right? Got drafted in the second round by the Aces. And what I think is unique about Kay Martin's situation is like, is her numbers like like off the charts? Absolutely not. Like, that's, you know, like, I'm not just act like she's just like having a field day out there on the court. Like, she's playing with Asia, Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, Tiffany Hayes, and then the list goes on, right? But what I think is a superpower for Kate Martin is that she's had the luxury to play with a great player. She's played with a great player like Caitlin Clark. And because she's played with a great player like Caitlin Clark, she knows what it's like to be on a team next to a superstar, and how sometimes you just gotta like affect the game in a multitude of different ways, whether it's rebounding, whether it's assisting, whether it's just setting the right screen, whether it's just finding yourself in the right place at the right time. And I think when you think about the Aces being defending champs, it's just like, in most situations, uh, if you get drafted by the champions, that will typically mean that like you ain't about to play for nobody. Like, you ain't fit to play for them like no time soon, given the circumstances, because they just won the championship. However, man, that's not been the case for Kate Martin. Like, she's been getting about 19 minutes per game, and I think it's because she just knows how to find her way around the court on a court full of stars, where it's not like she gotta have the ball in her hand to like be productive. And I think playing around Caitlin Clark, I think, has helped her with that mindset to be able to do just that, just getting where she fits in on the court of stars, you know, playing alongside with the Aces. Yeah, man, yeah. And so as we talk about those rookies, obviously you may still be, you know, tuned in, listening, and waiting to be like, all right, yeah, but hey, let's talk about Caitlin Clark. Let's talk about Caitlin Clark, shall we? Let's talk about Caitlin Clark. A lot of attention around Caitlin Clark to start off this season. Definitely been having to earn her keep. Definitely been getting, you know, beat up out there on the court. Do I think any of it has been malicious? No, I think that just comes with the territory of, one, being a rookie, and two, getting acclimated to a whole nother game style and speed on a nightly basis. I don't think nobody, I like when you like what's happened to Caitlin Clark, her taking hard shots. These are things that like we've seen it happen to Angel Reese, and I would also say it's happening to other rookies. The spotlight just isn't as big on them, or those games aren't being as televised. You know, when you think about the hit with Kennedy Carter, I know Caitlin had took a real tough shot on the screen against the Liberty. she was going back and forth with somebody from the Storm and like all of that. Like, despite all of that, one, despite the WNBA sending the Fever through a gauntlet, despite them sending them through a gauntlet, the Indiana Fever were the first team this season to reach 10 games played, right? In that 10-game stretch, they had back-to-backs. And despite from when she lost the championship, that quick turnover to have to be drafted, then you add on to just, all the publicity, all the media runs she's had to do, all the babies she's had to kiss. You don't have that long of an off season you don't have that long of a training camp with your basketball team for y'all to develop chemistry and so on and so forth. Despite all of that hoopla, all of that madness, Caitlin Clark has come out of the fire averaging 16, 5, and 6. Again, to put that into perspective, despite all the media attention, whether for better or for worse, all the tough fouls and hits she been getting, the crazy hectic schedule that the WNBA put the Fever on, despite all of that, Caitlin is averaging 16 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists a game. Also added to the 5 turnovers. Again, that's just gonna come with the territory as she develops and figure out the chemistry with her teammates. And she's still playing the same way she played in college. Ain't nothing changed about her game. And if you're really watching her, what I love about her the most is that like she is certified, like she's a hooper. Like she's not gonna back down. She's gonna still talk her shit. You know, she gonna talk to the wrestlers. She be talking to the wrestlers if she a vet and she like demands calls or whatever the case may be. But yeah, man, like I don't think that's the conversation that's being had enough. It's just like, yo, despite everything she been going through, like, bro, she's still averaging 16 points a game, bro, giving you 5 boards and 6 assists, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you want to hang her and shoot her for the turnovers, I mean, go right ahead. But like, all signs point in a positive trajectory for Caitlin Clark to be a superstar in this league. Now, obviously, at some point, which is a question to put on the table, how long can the WNBA sustain the viewership if Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are not winning games? Because right now it's looking ugly. the Fever only got 3 games under their belt. They're 3-9, so through 12 games. But Caitlin Clark gonna be fine, bro. Like she's a star. You got some people who like her. You got some people who don't. I love Caitlin Clark game. People would like to argue, about the growth of the game, and like it's not just because Caitlin Clark. But you got other players who've laid the foundation, and other players who have done this, and other players who have done that. Like all that could be true. Caitlin Clark isn't the sole reason for where the game is going, because you definitely, you got to pay your respects to the OGs who laid the foundation, and you have to, pay, respects to players who are currently in college, your Paige Buckners, your Hannah Hidalgos, your Juju Watkins, your Angel Reese's, your Asia Wilson in college, your Aaliyah Boston's, your Don Staley's. And so you gotta, pay homage and give respect, to everybody who played a part. You can understand to a degree if some people, feel some type of way about like it being all about Caitlin, but understand the attention that has gone to Caitlin has been willfully earned. And Caitlin don't have attention for nothing she's done outside of the court. The attention is solely because of her greatness on the basketball court. Simple and plain, it's undeniable. We love Kaylin because of her greatness on the basketball court, and that greatness at the college level has followed her well into the NBA. And as I said in the beginning, give you some stats for you to think about. That statement of her greatness and that attention following her from college to the pros isn't just a statement. It's like statistical data that you can't even argue with, that shows you like Caitlin's greatness has been earned, and it has continued to be at a high level, right? So for viewership stake and numbers, as we talk about Caitlin Clark's greatness and what it's been like, since she's come into the league. You've had 6 TV stations broadcast WNBA games, and when they broadcasted those WNBA games this season, they've had the most watched WNBA games on their broadcast station of all the years that they've been broadcasting WNBA games. And so out of those 6 stations who've seen record viewership for broadcasting the WNBA game, Caitlin Clark were a part of 5 of those 6 games. So again, like, that's not by accident that Caitlin Clark is a part of 5 of the most watched WNBA games for those particular those particular TV stations, which were ESPN. I'm trying to find it here on my phone. Here it go. ESPN2, ESPN, ABC, ION, CBS, and NBA TV. The only game that Caitlin Clark wasn't a part of that was the most watched for a particular these particular TV stations was the Liberty versus the Lynx CBS game. So that's one testament to Caitlin Clark's numbers and viewership, right? Then we go to home attendance, right? Last season, the Indiana Fever had a total of 81,000 fans through 20 games of the home games. They had a total of 81,000 people show up all season to the home games. In the first 5 home games, the Indiana Fever have had a total of 85,000 people in attendance in just 5 games, surpassing what their total was last season through 20 games. I don't know. I mean, you tell me. I really think that has something to do with the Caitlin Clark effect. You feel me? So that's also not deniable, right? That's statistical data for you to argue with if you don't like it, right? I'm only giving you numbers that are true. This ain't made up, right? Emcstats, and I'm giving you the stats. You feel me? All right. Caitlin Clark is a part of the 4. There have been 4 games that have been the most viewed in 20 years of the WNBA. There have been 4 of them. Caitlin Clark has been a part of, excuse me, I'm sorry. The Fever have been a part of all 4 of those games, and this was not the case last year for the Fever, but a common denominator compared to last year and this year is the fact that Caitlin Clark are a part of all these stats for the Indiana Fever that they did not have last year. Her debut, Fever versus the Suns, she 2.1 million. Versus the Liberty, 1.7 million. Versus the Sun again, 1.56 million. And then, like I said earlier, when she met Angel Reese, they did 1.53. So the Caitlin Clark effect, I think is real. I don't think it's fake. And again, giving respect and homage to the OGs, you got to do that, as well as the current players who are helping grow the game at the collegiate level. But let's not act like Caitlin Clark ain't a big reason this game is where it is. The numbers show that. but most importantly, her game shows us that. like people aren't crazy for being obsessed and like being attracted to the game of Caitlin Clark. This ain't like some makeshift, like she really ain't really like all that good. Like, no, she is as good as televised. And the numbers that she's put on the court has shown us that. And it's morphed into the viewership for the WNBA, which I would like for them to capitalize on. But I wonder if how long the viewership stays if the Indiana Fever are not winning, man. Another stat. Caitlin Clark, excuse me, not Caitlin Clark. The Indiana Fever were a part of the largest WNBA game attendance since 1999 when they played the Fever. They recently played against the Washington Mystics, and they had a fan attendance of 20,333 people in the arena. That didn't happen for the Fever last year. But a player who wasn't on the team last year that you can maybe point to say, like, well, why? And get this too. Like, the argument is going, some people may try to argue, oh, the Mystics are good. Bro, the Mystics are 0-12, dog. Like, ain't nobody trying to fill up the arena to see a team that's 0-12. I'm sorry. Like, I could be wrong, unless you just a diehard Cowboys fan. Love you, Sedacious. Love you, my brother. Shout out to Uncle Boogie, Uncle Joe. uh, but like, yeah, like the K. I say these numbers to say, like, yo, the Caitlin Clark effect is real and it's well earned from what she's been able to do and show us on the court, bro. She dropped 20 points this season versus the Sun, the Liberty, and the Storm, who we've talked about earlier in the show. These are top teams in the league. These are high top teams in the league who she has dropped 20 points or more on. And then she got two 30-point games, one being against the Sparks, and she has another 30-point game against the Wizards. And so, like, Caitlin Clark is great. She's great, and she's proven that she belongs in the league. And yeah, bro, like you can't hate on Caitlin Clark and what she's been what she's been able to do and what she's doing in this league, bro. I think she's gonna like have a. I would like to believe she's gonna have a hell of a career. I don't know how the Fever is gonna turn this thing around. I hope they do so soon, but before they lose viewership. Um, but again, even if the media ain't covering the WNBA at a high clip like they currently are, you can come to the Emcstats Show, and we're gonna make sure we take care of you, keep you in tune with all things going on in the WNBA, man. And so going real quick, going back to Caitlin Clark's viewership, going back to her viewership, uh, there are two games that I think people are not talking about, right? And so obviously with Kennedy Carter and her Caitlin Clark and Kennedy Carter getting into it, they play again on June 16th. I think that June 16th game, I think that June 16th game is going to be highly anticipated. I do. The Fever will be at home, when they had, all the media attention when they was on the road against Chicago. Chicago are going to come to Indiana. That game is going to, I think, do some numbers, as you're going to have not just Kennedy Carter and Caitlin Clark, but you're going to have Angel Reese going up, her viewership, colliding with Caitlin Clark's viewership. So they may do another 1.5 or may set a record when they meet. But the other game that nobody's talking about, and I think this could have potential to break those other top four most watched games in the past 20 years in the WNBA, is the game on June 30th where the Indiana Fever go up against the Phoenix Mercury. And why is that game supposed to be the game? Because that is the game where I would say the bet that kind of started that spearheaded Caitlin Clark ain't about to come in here and just have her way, and like she gonna have to earn it. Like we if it's she gonna have to come in here earn it, and da 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 da. Is Diana Taurasi. Diana Taurasi kind of started that, like it's gonna be tough. We're gonna make it hard on this. We ain't fist a fold or bow down to whatever she thinks she about to do, and when you talk about Caitlin Clark's debut of 2.1 million versus the Sun, when you talk about that being the most viewed game in 20 years, the record she broke was Diana Taurasi's debut, whereas Caitlin Clark had 2.1, but Diana Taurasi only had 1.4, and that's going to be like the true new school versus the old school, so to speak. And so yeah, I think that game is gonna really. I would be shocked if that game doesn't do big numbers. But I definitely think they're gonna be on Caitlin. I think they're gonna be on her head come that game. Um, but yeah, man. Yeah. It's been a great show. And I'm gonna just go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. We'll try to condense this down for y'all. Actually, I'm not. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this last portion off for the podcast. Um, as we're wrapping it up with Caitlin Clark. All right, so Caitlin Clark was recently put out that Caitlin Clark wasn't selected for the Olympic team, right? Completely, I'm lying. I'm not even just getting him from. I'm about to say completely understandable. Cover your kids' ears. Your children ears on the card. That shit is not understandable. If you're trying to grow the game of the WNBA, retaining viewership, making people fall more and more and more and more in love with this game, trying to pick a face of the league who we believe the WNBA wants Caitlin Clark to be the face of the league, to be an ambassador for the league, to help grow the league. Caitlin Clark has to be on this Olympic team. And there's a myriad of different perspectives, right? Well, you got these other players who are more deserving. All right, that's one perspective. You got the perspective of like, okay, well, she wasn't around for the training camps. They really want to fight they really want to have chemistry amongst one another. That's one perspective. What's Yeah, the whole like having experience perspective. Then you got the perspective, oh, the game is really physical, and she may struggle with that. All of that perspective. Bro, one, then you got the perspective like, well, if you take somebody else off, then who else? You just gonna put Caitlin Clark, Arike Ogunbowale. I don't know why she not on the list. Maybe that's contributed to like team chemistry, or maybe that's contributed to like she didn't show up for the training camps that she had. Caitlin Clark couldn't make training camp. I don't know. She was busy playing a big role and putting the women's basketball on her shoulders while playing in college. But yeah, bro, Caitlin Clark has to be on this team if you're truly serious about trying to grow the game. I know there's the argument that the USA basketball and WNBA, like they don't necessarily intertwine or have one to do with the other. But if you truly care about trying to grow this game, you find a way to put Caitlin Clark on the court. And I ain't even saying Caitlin Clark need to come out there and give you 25 minutes. What I'm saying is, I believe in our women here in the USA that they're gonna go get the goal. But in route to going to get the goal, you gonna have a couple 30, 40-point wins. And in those 30, 40-point wins, you can bring Caitlin off the court to goddamn go play for 10 or 12, go play for a quarter to give your older player some rest and let her get her threes off and continue to grow and expand the game. if you haven't already heard, like, you know, that 92 team, Christian Laettner was on that team. He was picked over Shaq. He was picked over Alonzo Mourning, if you haven't heard. Um, you had Diana Taurasi. She was on one of those teams as a young player. Breanna Stewart was on one of those teams as a young player, who was the other player in the notes. Candace Parker, young player. She was a star. Um, so it's just like, don't just like don't say you're trying to grow the game and like you fumble an opportunity to like put the face, have a player who's supposed to be the face of the league in the coming years. Don't say you're trying to grow the game if you're not willing to like really make an effort at like marketing that, you know, showing that that's really your focus. You got to put Caitlin Clark on that team, bro. Like, I won't even say whether or not she's deserving, because like she's deserving, like in terms of like marketability, in terms of like how her the part she's played in the game, she's deserving. Oh, you look at the list, Nafisha Collier, and I wouldn't even say in terms of like if you want to take somebody off, I would kind of look at the guard spot as opposed to like, you know, your bigs like Brittany Griner and Nafisha Collier, you know, your forwards and so on and so forth. Um, Bro, I would say let's get Diana Taurasi out of there, bro. Five-time Olympian. And I know that's a lot of people's like, bro, get Diana out of there. Like she's been doing it for so long. My wife brought up this perspective. I don't necessarily agree with it. And she was just like, that shouldn't be the conversation. We should be like praising Diana because like she's like en route to achieve her like sixth Olympic gold medal. Um, I don't know if it's six. Yeah, it's her sixth Olympic gold medal, and it's just like, oh no, that's cool. Like we can let Kahleah get in. We can let Kahleah get in there, man. But what's gonna happen is, like I said, I predict that once you know the Olympics start, and that's what it is, bro. Like I said in the beginning of the show, when the Olympics start and the NBA offseason comes around, and then you competing with the NBA, you competing with the NFL offseason and the NFL starting, the media attention on the WNBA is going to die down. A great way for you to be able to keep it going is if you put Caitlin Clark in the Olympics. If you put Caitlin Clark in the Olympics, you continue to bring her fan base to the Olympics, and they're going to follow her to the Olympics. And when the Olympics over, you're going to have possibly accumulated a new audience from the Olympics that are going to travel back with the WNBA for when the WNBA gets back up started. But you don't put Caitlin Clark in the Olympics, and now the casual fan, now you just left with just the casual fans who watching the Olympics. Like if you're trying to grow the game, you got to use somebody who's going to help grow the game. Diana Taurasi fans are grandfathered in. Most of these players, like fans, are grandfathered in. So it's just like you gotta use Caitlin Clark to keep making this game grow and grow and grow some more. And like it's not about whether she's more deserving over other players. She's played a part in helping the game get to where it is now. And that should be enough to be like, yo, we're gonna bring on this Rikea because we know she's gonna have the cachet for us to be able to keep developing this game on an international level. So just know this: if that viewership dies, nobody is going to have sympathy or remorse for the WNBA because they're going to point to this being a moment where they fumbled the opportunity to amplify the viewership by bringing Caitlin Clark on. And who knows, Chelsea Gray, she's injured. I personally don't think she'll play. And maybe the WNBA, or not the WNBA, but the Olympic committee maybe feels the pressure to be like, nah, okay, if Chelsea can't play, let's bring on Caitlin. And even apart from like this being about marketing, like you can help develop and groom Caitlin being around all these all-stars to help her learn from them as she gets ready to like take the torch and continue to push the game further as these older players get ready to retire in the future. And so it's just like you could have like brought her on to like really, like, you could have did a lot of positive things with having Caitlin Clark, and just in terms of her development as a player, her being around so many pros, and not just pros, but her being around superstars, being able to learn from them who she's not necessarily going to be with around all the time because she's on a completely different team. And like, if you truly want to make her the face of the league, you truly want to grow the game, you're missing out on like so many different just avenues of like Kaylin being able to grow as a person, as a player, as an ambassador for this game, bro. Um, yeah, so yeah, man. Hopefully that changed. But if it doesn't, like I say, man, nobody's gonna have sympathy for the WNBA if their viewership begins to die down. I won't say die out, but I'll say die down. But even if it does, like I said, I give you my word, this will be a hub for you to be able to always come to and get some weekly a weekly dose of what's going on in the WNBA here at the Emcstats Show. And right now, the Olympic team, the women's Olympic team, they are en route to secure their eighth gold medal, their eighth straight gold medal, which would break the tie between men and women. If they could win a gold medal this year, it would be their eighth straight gold medal, which is something neither the men or women Olympic team has done before. So yeah, beautiful people. That's what you call a great show, and the first show, the Emcstats Show. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for listening. Again, my name is Edward, named after a great man, that being my pops. Shout out to my mother and my grandmother for helping raise me too. And yeah, man, I'm gonna keep you locked in and in tune with all things sports, with happening at the high school, collegiate, and pro level. Love you, beautiful people. And make sure you tune into the Respect the Game podcast as well. If you hearing this show first and you like, I want to hear some more, go over to the podcast. Check me and my brothers out. Dropping every week. Yeah, follow us at the Respect the Game podcast. Well, no, Respect the Game pod on Twitter, Instagram, all of that good stuff. And yeah, I'll just put it down in the description. Love y'all. See y'all next week. Peace.